The Kingdom of Bahrain's speech during the general debate of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, delivered on behalf of His Majesty the King by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, received wide praise for its diversity in raising various issues and topics of interest to all humanity. More details in this report.
Partnerships such as these can go beyond the geopolitical dimension and enter the world of emerging technologies as well. Through meaningful international collaboration, we can harness the transformative potential of technologies such as artificial intelligence to advance shared goals of global development, peace, prosperity.
Geopolitics has been defined as the geographical influences on international relations, but how can current challenges be overcome? The answer was in the Kingdom of Bahrain's speech delivered on behalf of His Majesty the King by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister during the general debate of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, which concluded that humanity can achieve the goals of global development, peace and prosperity in its diverse international relations to include emerging technologies through effective international cooperation and employing technical innovations such as artificial intelligence.
Today, we call for an international treaty governing the development of artificial intelligence to ensure that these technologies contribute to peace rather than exacerbate existing conflicts, and that they become forces for creation and innovation, not destruction and division.
In light of development and technology, the Kingdom of Bahrain stressed the need to unify global efforts to utilize technology and artificial intelligence to achieve peaceful goals that lead humanity towards creativity and innovation away from conflicts. In order to achieve this, the Kingdom called for the adoption of an international treaty aimed at regulating and governing the development of artificial intelligence to ensure that this technology contributes to achieving peace instead of exacerbating global conflicts.
The Kingdom of Bahrain believes that engaging in wide-ranging partnerships such as these will be crucial to advancing the cause of multilateralism and ensuring that cooperation becomes a cornerstone of our collective security frameworks. Through such agreements, we are confident that the Middle East and the global community can build a future rooted in peace, economic growth, and a rules-based international order that benefits all people.
The Kingdom of Bahrain's speech reaffirmed that strengthening international relations and enhancing international action in various sectors is the cornerstone of achieving international security in light of the various agreements through which Bahrain and friendly countries seek to build a peaceful future that achieves economic growth and an international order that serves the interests of all.
And to speak more about this, we were joined earlier with the Executive Advisor of His Highness Sheikh Nasser Center for Research and Development in Artificial Intelligence, Dr. Jassim Haji.
Well, His Royal Highness's speech is a milestone and is a guidelines not for us, those who are working in the industry, but also for all the nations to adapt the policies, guidelines, and the ethical values that goes around for the entire nations in use of artificial intelligence. As we know, the AI is a very strong tool that has been evolving, especially with the generative AI. And as there are many advantages to that, there are also disadvantages, and it could be well misused by the individuals and groups. And this speech is very important and sets up the milestones for everybody to start adopting and generating policies for the use of artificial intelligence in the future. Well, there are many advantages and many sectors that can AI contribute heavily, especially the algorithms and the data that is available. Especially if we look at the health sector, it can, for instance, bring the early detections of the diseases. It can improve the medicines discoveries. It can also play an important role in education in different parts of the world, in virtual teachers and virtual schools. Other advantages can be even in the industry itself, in the green industry, developing the environmental perspectives and bringing a lot of data to bring the peace and prosperity to different parts of the world, but positive use of the artificial intelligence and with close monitoring by the nations on the development of the artificial intelligence.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, participated in an emergency joint ministerial meeting between the League of Arab States and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation on the sideline of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The meeting was chaired by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Saudi Arabia, Chairman of the Joint Arab Islamic Committee, His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of Yemen, Dr. Shaya Al-Zindani, chaired the Arab League delegation, while the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cameroon, Lejuane Mabella, led the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The Foreign Minister addressed the significant challenges facing the Arab region, particularly the ongoing conflict in Gaza, which resulted in civilian casualties. He warned of the growing risks of regional escalation that could threaten international peace and security. The Minister emphasized for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the protection of civilians and civilian property, the release of hostages and detainees, and the facilitation of humanitarian aid delivery to civilians through all crossings. He highlighted the need to continue efforts to increase the number of countries recognizing the State of Palestine, particularly attracting countries with political weight in the international community. He stressed the importance of supporting the efforts of the UN Secretary General and enhancing the role of the United Nations in maintaining international peace and security. The minister called for directing the efforts to strengthen communication between the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation with the United Nations, the Security Council, and specialized international organizations, emphasizing the necessity of adhering to international laws, particularly the UN Charter and international humanitarian law. The minister underscored the importance of implementing Security Council Resolution 1701 regarding the situation in Lebanon, Resolution 2735 based on the U.S. President's initiative, Resolution 2720 concerning the expansion of humanitarian aid access to Gaza, and the General Assembly resolution calling for Israel to end its illegal presence in the occupied Palestinian territories, following the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice. The meeting also discussed the coordination between Arab and Islamic countries regarding diplomatic action in the upcoming phase to support the rights of the Palestinian people. The focus was on achieving an immediate and permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, reducing tensions and escalation, and advancing efforts for the establishment of a just, comprehensive, and sustainable peace in the region to create an independent Palestinian state in accordance with the two-state solution and international legitimacy resolutions. The meeting was attended by Bahrain's permanent representative to the United Nations in New York, Ambassador Jamal Faris Arwai. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, participated in the ministerial meeting to discuss the situation in the Gaza Strip and the prospects for a two-state solution on the sideline of the United Nations General Assembly 79 session. The Foreign Minister delivered a speech at the meeting in which he said that the Arab world stands on the brink of a broader and more destructive regional conflict, which we may be powerless to stop unless we begin to take concrete measures together as an international community. He said that in light of these difficult challenges, the Arab leaders must meet in Bahrain in May 2024 at the 33rd Arab Summit headed by His Majesty the King, and sent a unified message of peace, the need to guarantee basic human rights for the Palestinians and the Arab people, and the need to establish a clear and irreversible path towards the establishment of an independent, sovereign and viable Palestinian state in accordance with the two-state solution. He also noted that the Arab leaders endorsed several initiatives during the summit, including a proposal to convene an international peace conference aimed at establishing a Palestinian state based on the two-state solution, noting that partners in Europe and the West have always shown a strong commitment to the promotion and protection of human rights. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the African Cooperation and Moroccan expatriates, Nasser Bourita. They discussed the close, long-standing relations between Bahrain and Morocco and the ways to enhance cooperation, consultation, and joint coordination in a way that meets the ambitions and aspirations of the two countries. The developments in the regional situation were also discussed, including the war on the Gaza Strip and the increase in tensions and escalation, the Arab and international efforts aimed at reaching a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, and the efforts made by the Joint Arab Islamic Committee in this regard during the current sessions meetings of the United Nations General Assembly. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, met with the Mauritanian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Cooperation and Mauritanians Abroad, Mohammed Salem Wild Marzoug, on the sideline of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The ministers discussed the strong relations between Bahrain and Mauritania and explored ways to enhance cooperation, coordination and mutual consultation to serve the interests of both countries and their people, as well as their shared objectives. They also addressed regional developments, including the conflict in Gaza and the Arab and international efforts aimed at achieving a permanent ceasefire and protecting civilians and civilian property. The discussion touched on the efforts of the Joint Arab Islamic Committee alongside other topics of common interest. The meeting was attended by Bahrain's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Jamal Faris Arwai, and the Director General of Bilateral Relations, Ambassador Sheikh Abdullah bin Ali Al Khalifa. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdulatif bin Rashid Al-Zayani, met with the Syrian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates, Bassam Sabbagh, on the sideline of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Dr. Al-Zayani congratulated Mr. Sabbagh on his appointment as Foreign Minister of Syria, wishing him continued success in his new role. He reaffirmed Bahrain's commitment to strengthening cooperation and enhancing the distinguished historical relations between the two countries to serve their common interests and objectives. The Syrian minister emphasized his commitment to developing the strong ties between Bahrain and Syria for the benefit of both nations. The meeting also covered regional developments, including the war in Gaza and the Arab and international efforts aimed at achieving a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and advancing the efforts for just and comprehensive peace in the region. Bahrain's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Jamal Faris Al-Ruwa'i, and the Director General of Bilateral Relations, Ambassador Sheikh Abdullah bin Ali Al Khalifa, also attended the meeting. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani, met with the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of Namibia, Dr. Pia Mushlinga. The meeting discussed the developments of bilateral ties between Bahrain and Namibia and explored opportunities to strengthen cooperation in various areas. The two sides also exchanged views on key regional and international issues of mutual interest. The ministers signed a joint statement formalizing diplomatic relations between the two countries. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani, met the Deputy Prime Minister of Montenegro, Dr. Filip Ivanovic. The two sides discussed the relations between Bahrain and Montenegro and the ways to develop bilateral cooperation and joint coordination to serve the common interests. The officials also exchanged views on the latest developments in the region, the current regional and international challenges, and issues of common interest. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs met with the President of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Philemon Yang, at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Dr. Zayani congratulated Mr. Yang on assuming the presidency of the General Assembly and wished him success in managing its work to achieve the United Nations goals of promoting sustainable development and strengthening global security, stability, and prosperity. The meeting covered topics on the UN General Assembly agenda with discussions on addressing global challenges. The meeting was attended by the Under Secretary for Political Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Sheikh Abdullah bin Ahmed Al Khalifa, Bahrain's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Jamal Faris Al-Ruwa'i, and the Director General for International Cooperation, Ambassador Fatma Abdullah Al-Dha'n. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs met with the former President of the United Nations General Assembly, Vuk Jermik, on the sidelines of the 79th session of the UN General Assembly. They discussed topics and issues on General Assembly agenda as well as the current challenges facing countries around the world. Bahrain's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Jamal Faris Al-Ruwa'i, and the Director General for International Cooperation, Ambassador Fatma Abdullah Al-Dha'n, also attended the meeting. The Minister of Municipalities Affairs and Agriculture, Engineer Wa'il Al-Mubarak, affirmed that Bahrain, in light of the comprehensive development process led by His Majesty the King, with the follow-up of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, is keen to continue developing government services based on the highest standards of quality and efficiency by adopting full e-transformation and facilitating procedures and making them easier for the user. The Minister announced completing the development of 31 services provided by the Ministry and pointed out that 12 other services have been fully electronically transformed to improve user experience and simplify procedures. The Minister of Tourism and Chairperson of the Board of Directors of the Bahrain Tourism and Exhibitions Authority, Fatma bin Jafar Al-Sayrafi, delivered a speech at the high-level ministerial dialogue entitled Building Bridges Through Tourism, which was held within the framework of the celebration organized by the United Nations World Tourism Organization in Tbilisi, Georgia, on the occasion of the World Tourism Day 2024, which this year bears the slogan, tourism and peace. The minister affirmed Bahrain's commitment to continuing to develop a competitive tourism system by employing innovation in tourism and supporting its various paths to achieve sustainable development that supports the prosperity of societies to achieve lasting peace. In this regard, As-Sayrafi highlighted the importance of the role of tourism in deepening cultural communication and spreading world peace as it enhances the building of bridges of communication between countries and people and enriches cultural exchange, which leads to opening new horizons of international cooperation. In the same context, she pointed out that Manama is a bridge for communication between people, coexistence, and peace, given its prominent role in promoting peace and spreading the culture of coexistence. The United Nations celebrates World Tourism Day under the slogan Tourism and Peace, a slogan that is in line with the Kingdom of Bahrain's message of coexistence and peace, which has become a tourist attraction for visitors from all over the world. More details in this report.
Tourism and Peace is the slogan launched by the United Nations this year to celebrate World Tourism Day, a slogan that carries a clear message that there is no tourism without security and peace, which is what the Kingdom of Bahrain has worked to consolidate in its society and among its citizens and visitors from all over the world. Under the royal directives of His Majesty the King and with the continuous follow-up of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, Bahrain has significantly developed its tourism sector, established centres and complexes, and supported interest in cultural and national heritage, making it a diverse and attractive tourist destination, offering visitors various activities and events for recreational, commercial and cultural purposes. The pillars of Bahraini tourism are many, the most prominent of which are hospitable Bahraini citizens who welcome visitors from all over the world, in addition to the great community partnership and the prominent role of the private sector, especially in the tourism sector, which resulted in making many tourism achievements and effectively contribute to the national economy.
The chairman of the Bahrain Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Samir Abdallah Nas, stressed the importance of enhancing joint investments between the Gulf Cooperation Council countries and Azerbaijan in various sectors, pointing out the keenness of the Gulf private sector to create strong regional and international blocs that contribute to achieving common economic interests. The chairman of the Bahrain Chamber of Commerce and Industry said during a speech at the second edition of the Gulf Azerbaijan Economic Forum that Azerbaijan is one of the countries close to the Gulf states and has strong strategic and cultural relations, especially with the Kingdom of Bahrain. It has also distinguished economic relations with the GCC countries, as the volume of trade exchange between the two sides witnessed a significant increase during 2024, increasing by 28%, while the volume of Gulf investments in Azerbaijan reached $7 billion, explaining that the volume of Gulf trade exchanges exceeded $1.5 trillion and that its sovereign funds amounted to 43% of global sovereign funds. Nas stressed the importance of maximizing the benefits from investment, trade and industrial opportunities between the GCC countries and Azerbaijan, and creating more bilateral partnerships in the sectors of food and agricultural security, renewable energy, logistics and transportation, chemicals, infrastructure, industries and railway projects. For his part, the chairman of the Food Sector Committee at the Bahrain Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Khalid Al-Amin, called for the importance of GCC countries establishing food bodies with the aim of securing food routes and developing food production mechanisms. The second deputy chairman of the Shura Council, Dr. Jihad Al-Fadl, participated in the 11th consultative meeting of the Association of Senates, Shura and equivalent councils in Africa and the Arab world, in cooperation with the Senate of Equatorial Guinea, entitled Enhancing Joint Parliamentary Action of Countries of the South to Confront Development Challenges and Environmental Challenges, at the Senate headquarters in the Guinean city of Malabo. In her speech during the consultative meeting, Dr. Al-Fadl stressed that Bahrain is ready to enhance cooperation and joint work with all the friendly countries, political, human rights and legislative organizations to address contemporary challenges that affect the achievement of sustainable development, noting that parliamentary diplomacy is working in parallel with official diplomacy to achieve the aspirations of nations and peoples for peace, development and prosperity. Representative Council Member and Vice President of the Asian Parliamentary Assembly, Ahmed As-Saloom, participated in the meetings of the Standing Committee on Social and Cultural Affairs at the Asian Parliamentary Assembly, held in Russia. He stressed that Bahrain believes that solidarity and unity among Asian parliaments are necessary foundations for achieving stability and development in the region, pointing out that Asian parliaments play a crucial role in building bridges of dialogue and promoting cooperation between countries, noting the need to unify efforts, exchange experiences, and formulate joint strategies based on integration and solidarity.